What's poppin', y'all? We've got an update on this saga with Timbaland and the AI company that he's been working with called Suno. Suno is one of two of the most popular AI companies when it comes to generating music, UDO being the other one, spelled UDIO. And I did a video on this, which you can check out. It'll be linked down below, where we cover the initial part of it. The biggest gripe that I had and the question that I had was whether or not people were having their music that they submitted to Timbaland, otherwise, trained on an AI without their permission or their consent. That was really it. I'm not against AI whatsoever. I gave a whole spiel about it in the previous video on what I think about it. It's inevitable. You can try to fight it however you want, like people tried to fight against TikTok, and I went through that war arguing with people 7 years ago, and you were all wrong. So I'm not going to do it with this AI, but that's not really the point of this particular video and what's going on with Timbaland, because we got a development which made it seem like Timbaland was capping about not training people's work. And here's the video. I'm gonna play it for you guys right now.
See, Red, what's poppin'? So let me introduce you to Baby Timbo, Suno, better known as Baby Timbo, right? So remember this right here.
I don't write verses for fun. We've been out working for crumbs. To the seeds we plant and pay my fees on the first of the month.
I feel like the rap was so powerful, right? So I came up with this, I put it in Baby Suno, and I kind of prompted it a certain way. You don't really see all that. It's for me, for my eyes on it. But check it out.
I don't write verses for fun. We've been out working for crumbs. To the seeds we plant, aim and pay my fees on my first of the month. Those who try to make believe that I don't deserve it is dumb. Just give me a beat that got some space to put words to the drums. Just give me the peace to find my place of encouragement, son. I know everybody got some pain that no Percocets numb. Ask me for some tips, I know my work, just prefer to step one. Gotta love yourself, that lets the birds are tough for deception. Hard for me to rest when success, I prefer to get done.
Timbo. That Baby Timbo do his work. Let him do his work.
So this clip was submitted by a female rapper, and I'm not gonna lie, whatever he put that into, like it produced a good sound, but the new one is worse. I'm gonna keep it a buck. Like this does not sound great. We might have to mute the music depending on how copyright goes. I don't even know how that works, especially with things like this. But I'm gonna try to play it the whole thing for you guys. And this was old, and it was Timbaland putting it into like his Baby Tim AI. And what happened after this is even funnier, because Curtis King was reviewing where this beat came from. He heard someone I think may have sent it to him that they heard a familiar beat tag. So he goes through it. I'm gonna play you guys that clip right now.
Shout out to this producer here. I've seen him on my timeline many a times. He has an extensive catalog. He posts his music all the time. I want you to listen to not only this beat, but I want you to listen for his producer tag. You'll hear it in a second. Listen to this for a second. You heard that? Pay attention to that. This beat is hard. Shout out to KFresh. This is a beat that says in the title, Timbaland makes a beat with Suno AI. Now, this video was posted some months ago. Listen to this beat for me and you let me know what you hear. Not only are those elements of the sound of the beat that you just heard, in my opinion, but you also hear the man's tag. Oh. What are we doing here? That's that man beat with his beat tag. This was the main concern that folks had when they saw this announcement. You're not going to use my music, right? There's no chance that my music went into the learning of that. Most of the people who are critical of you and your usage of AI are asking one question.
Yo, are you training AI off of our music?
I can't train. I don't own the company to do the training data. I am a partner of Suno's.
Controversial AI music startups Suno and Udio were sued by major label companies for allegedly training their systems using major recordings without permission. Suno, for example, explained that its data training includes essentially all music files of reasonable quality that are accessible on the open internet.
Now, this is where we're getting to a little bit of a shaky part of everything. Off rip, Timbaland didn't release this song. He's not monetizing this song. However, do we know that he knew that this was KFresh's beat as well? KFresh Music, if you guys are unfamiliar, he's a producer. He's a producer on Instagram. He seems to be very, very popular. So people that like really follow this music stuff, they know. And after this starts to get wind, Timbaland's of course catching a lot of heat the past week or so. He responds to it with the following video on his stream because they brought it up on the stream. And this is the thing about live streaming. You cannot avoid a controversy. You cannot stay quiet during a controversy. The only thing you can do is disappear. And when you're not a live streamer, you can do a bunch of other things like not show up and then it just passes. But live streaming, people are going to spam it in the chat and people are going to see that you're hiding it or you're not addressing it, and you're going to get to a point where you have to address it. So I'm gonna play you guys the clip by Timbaland.
Chat is bringing up somebody in the beat. Somebody's bringing up something in the chat about a beat. Somebody named KFresh Beats,
which is dope. He's super dope.
Let's pull it up because we was doing our, this is our first time hearing about it. This whole thing is about transparency, and like, we looked up the post, and I had to show it to Tim chat just to let him know like what it was. But you had mixed his like sample with like another artist vocalist. Like it was two posts that you saw on Instagram and you merged them into one.
Yeah, it was like doing a remake. The same way
it was an edit.
It was an edit. The same way we took Krishan Rock.
Yeah, the same thing with the
Krishan Rock, showing the power of a tool and how powerful it is, how it can flip songs and do remixes. Now hold on, check this out. That same post, if he's listening, guess who called for that beat? Ghostface Killer, because of that post.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to call him today and say, yo man, you need to send that beat to Ghostface. What? I don't get nothing for that. But that post said, yo, God, can you send me that beat? That ain't my beat.
So here Timbaland is saying like, yo, Ghostface wants that beat. Like that's the outcome that came out of this. And, that sounds all great and all, but what does KFresh think about it? Because that's what we should be asking. And what does that woman who rapped that and then had the songwriting or like lyrics changed into, or not the lyrics changed, but the sound changed into something else entirely? Because by the way, there are artists, especially songwriters, that really love AI because they don't have to, like they can write the songs and then they can make it sound exactly the way that they want, like it was in their brain, which is hard to do in person. Like you've got to find the exact person that's going to sound in the way that you want it to sound, and you may not be able to sound like that. So that's just another like positive about AI. But this guy KFresh, he gets interviewed by Curtis King and he reacts to this live. So I'm gonna play you guys the first clip of him reacting to that previous video.
I think there's a little sense of integrity that like you could have just, if you liked it that much, a little bit goes a long way for somebody like me. Like my feet is still on the ground, bro. Like I'm working for everything and I'm not asking for much, but just that could have been enough. You know what I mean? So I'm conflicted with the things that I feel about it. You know what I mean?
And for those who are not understanding, this whole process was done without Cudi being tagged, without being, now his face is on the video as you're seeing Timbaland doing his reaction, and you're seeing C-Red rapping. What I didn't even know until I found that video, until actually Sarah posted that video, is that it wasn't just your music that was getting utilized, but also your tag too, right? Is that your tag that's in the background?
Yep. I think people know that more than they know the music.
Wow. So your tag is in there. Obviously, elements directly from that, what I assume is directly from that TikTok duo, but also the vocals from C-Red. I don't know what conversations he may or may not have had with C-Red. He did mention C-Red's name, but you're talking about now uploading to Suno plus whatever prompt that he wanted to make sure he kept private. He adds that, and then this is the final production. Although it is not a monetized situation, there is ethics. You talk about having a history in technology and having a history in coding, and I'm sure you've been already kind of privy to a lot of this stuff happening. There's just a general good ethics to have as you're operating this and you're using somebody else's music. What are kind of your viewpoints on that particular thing?
Well, I think that's the thing is somebody sent me a quote, man. The brother, and I don't want to butcher this, but he was like, music without discipline equals chaos. And that struck a chord with me because it's like, again, we're talking about one of the most influential producers out there. I think that when we talk about ethics, it's like, why doesn't it start at the top like that? For somebody who's already achieved so much success, you don't need anything from somebody like me. You know what I mean? And a little bit of just integrity again, or a little bit of just shouting me out, or reaching out and just being like, I like this, how can, like I said, I'm not asking for nothing really, bro. Like what I'm doing, I'm happy with my life. You know what I mean? And I ain't never been given nothing. And I don't really like to get into this story of like I came from nothing or nothing like that, but I worked very hard for everything that I got. You know what I mean? And a little bit goes a long way for somebody that big. You know what I mean? So I think it goes back to that. Like, I don't even know that there's anything monetary coming from this.
Right.
And, there's still conversations I got to have with my team and with my lawyer.
So here you get his reaction on everything, but where it gets interesting is when he talks about the Ghostface situation. And it seems that Timbaland might be capping about the Ghostface thing, or possibly there's a miscommunication somewhere. I don't know, but I'm going to play you guys that clip right now.
So Ghostface follows me. Right. I posted that beat a number of times, so much that people are like, why do you keep posting your same beats? So if Ghostface wanted that beat, he could have reached out to me directly. And even then, you could have been like, KFresh made that beat, hit him up. So, it's really that simple.
Now, to be completely fair, Ghostface could, how many people do you follow and you just don't see the stuff on their feed? However, KFresh did say like, yo, I've posted this beat a couple of times. And people are, so much so that people are saying, yo, why are you posting this beat a bunch of times? So that makes it less likely that Ghostface was going through his feed and didn't see it. But this is on Ghostface Killer's court now. He's got to say if he's seen that beat before or not. And if he knew that it was KFresh's beat, then why didn't he reach out to KFresh directly if they've been in contact before? Perhaps he didn't know it was KFresh's beat. I don't know. Like, yeah, you could say the producer tag, but really, if you're Ghostface Killer, if you're me, you're hearing a lot of tags. I didn't even catch that guy's tag. Now, you would have to hear it all the time to really catch it. So this stands on Ghostface Killer. Probably he just saw it on Timbaland's and then he hit him up. But then the question becomes, well, why hasn't KFresh gotten a message from Ghostface yet from Timbaland if Timbaland was asking, or if Ghostface was asking Timbaland for the beat? And this didn't come up until Timbaland is on stream talking about it. That's where you gotta say like, yo, what's going on here? And in this interview, in this back and forth that they have, KFresh and Curtis King, he gets asked about AI and he gives a very nuanced and I believe healthy take.
And that's why I asked the question, are these music people, or are they tech people? Because at the end of the day, are these people making these products with musicians or producers in mind? Is this really to our benefit? I don't think it's to our demise. I think it's dramatic to be like, AI is going to replace producers. I don't know, not a human being or a computer who can duplicate what I do verbatim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I stand on that confidently, humbly. Not even saying that in a cocky way, but just not to even get like churchy about it. But I know I got a gift that can't be duplicated. And I don't think any of us have anything to worry about in that sense. But as we still struggle to maintain any sense of ownership of our intellectual property, and just get something as simple as credit, this search for money or whatever it is that they're doing that comes from tech companies, record companies, and ultimately people who don't even have love for the music, that's where it gets dangerous. That's where my frustration comes from it.
So I think he gave a great take on AI software. He talked about having used UDO before, and he didn't really know how to get it to generate samples that he wanted to chop up later. And he said that he just gave up after that, which is, I feel like, what a lot of people do with regular AI, like LLMs, which is the like Gemini, things like that, ChatGPT, Claude. Like, they didn't really know how to prompt it, and prompting is a skill in its own right. Now, obviously, we're not going to compare the skill of prompting with producing beats. Of course not. At least not now. I don't know. And this was in the infancy of the software. So the software, the AI must have gotten a lot better, the UDO in this instance. But he said he didn't want to learn to prompt it. But he's saying like, yo, you know, I like this guy's take. It's so balanced. Because a lot of the time when it comes to this conversation with AI and music, people feel the best comparison that I can give is with weight loss. Like when Ozempic came out, GLP, whatever it's called, the appetite suppressant, and it seems like this magic pill with almost no side effects other than rapid weight loss, which causes that like whole Ozempic face thing. But a lot of people that worked hard to lose weight felt this animosity of like, no, I earned this. I had to work hard for this. I had to count all my calories for this. I had to suffer through cravings for this. But these people, they get to just take this pill and get the same results as me, and nobody can tell the difference. And to that, really what I had to say is, number one, to be able to sustain it is a different story. Number two, like to actually build muscle is a different story. That thing is just like more weight loss. And number three, I looked at it as a positive thing, because if there's a magic pill that we can give people to make them less obese, to reduce the rate of obesity, and it actually doesn't have any negative side effects, I don't know, we don't know yet, then I would be all for it, because less obese people, more healthy people, less money on like insurance and like all of these expenses that come with complications that come from obesity, etc. But the notion is that like, hey, I had to work hard for this and I had to learn this, and someone can just come from right behind me and be just as good as me. But the top 1%, they're not worried about it. Like, number one, there's a genetic component to being like a top 1% body, whether that's like a Victoria's Secret model. Like, she's not concerned with some fat chick taking GLP or Ozempic and getting on the Victoria's Secret stage, because the fact that she got fat in the first place means her genetics weren't good enough for it to compete. And I think that's the same thing that musicians should be having if they're the top 1%. Now, if you're a mid musician producer, yeah, you should probably be worried, and I understand the frustration, but if you are independent of that, like you are not a musician and you're just a regular person, you should take what they say with a grain of salt, especially their animosity towards it, because they're justified in having that take, but you don't have to adopt that take, and it doesn't mean it's the objectively right take. Now, for Timbaland, this doesn't look good. Like, he needs to address this, and a lot of people are upset. Like, I think from what it seems that Curtis King's biggest issue, he has an issue with Suno, mainly the CEO / founder, and some comments that he made, which is understandable. But his main gripe that I've been able to catch with Timbaland is the same gripe that I have with Timbaland, which was more so a question, and we really haven't gotten a good answer, which is, are you training it on this? But also there was some information that was brought forward, which is somebody posted this where it said, and this is Suno's terms of service to be able to train your own like AI model on it. And it says, upload audio. I certify that I own or exclusively control all all rights in any content I will upload using the Suno feature. I understand that I am not allowed to upload content if I do not own or exclusively control the rights to it, and that if I do so in spite of this prohibition, I will, among other problems, be breaching a contract with Suno, and I may be subject to various other forms of legal liability as well. By clicking this box, I acknowledge and agree to the foregoing. So they're saying that even like Timbaland is breaking Suno terms of service by even using somebody else's work because he doesn't own the rights to it. Why doesn't he just use his own library? And to this, I can't really say anything. And on top of that, Timbaland is a partner or is doing business with Suno. Now, what I wonder is, if people can give me this information, when did Timbaland start streaming? Was it before or after Suno was a thing? Because if he started streaming after Suno, it would make sense that he probably started streaming because of his deal with Suno. And he found that to be the best way to promote the platform. They're like, hey, we need a lot of artists to use this, or aspiring artists, and that would make sense. But I don't want to knock him and say, nah, he just started streaming because of that. I actually need the information. And I don't know when Suno came out. I could look that up, but I would, even if I looked it up, I wouldn't know when Timbaland started streaming. Now, another individual who is he talks a lot in these like music circles, this guy Brian Z, he said Timbaland seems hellbent on torching his legacy. I don't know what Suno is paying him, but no amount of money is worth changing how the world remembers you forever. Frankly, the world doesn't really care about you. Like, Quincy Jones is one of the most legendary producers of all time. How many times is Quincy Jones really mentioned? And once you pass away, you really pass away. So what I believe is everyone, I'm not saying everyone, but he should behave in what he believes is his own best interest. And this is the thing too. I don't think that Timbaland thinks that he's doing something wrong. He thinks he's ahead of the curve. And that's also a reply that this guy Z gave. It's like, it just seems like Timbaland is riding a train that he believes everyone else is going to get on eventually. And it's not a belief. It's everyone will get on this train. There is no leaving it behind. You're either going to get left behind or you're going to hop on it. And I think it's not such good PR for Suno. I hope Timbaland doesn't end up losing a deal because of this PR, which I don't think is the case. But I do think these are questions that need answering, because KFresh, for example, wasn't really upset with anything other than, hey man, you could have just hollered at me, or like just at least reach out or show some love or mention my name. Like, I'm not looking for anything too crazy. Like, he didn't say like, yo, I need to make sure that I was compensated for this being potentially used to train an AI model. He didn't say any of that. And that's the person who, in this case, would be the victim. As for, this is also why music is just so much of a pain, because the product is nearly worthless, monetarily speaking. Of course, like, music has such a great value to us emotionally, like memories wise, but like one stream, like for example, one person listening to a song, the amount of money that just went into a song and the amount of time is just so disproportionate. That's why I got out of music, or making money in music so long ago, because I saw, like, hold on, the amount of effort and the amount of money it costs, like, it is just, the numbers just don't shake. And that's why also, like, platforms like Suno and platforms like TikTok and others, they're like, yo, we're gonna ride with this, and then we're gonna handle it after. Because if they had to come, it's almost as if, the best way I can describe it is, hey, let's ask for forgiveness instead of permission. Because if they go to all of these rights holders and ask them, hey, we want permission to train your music on our AI, before they've got any money, before they've got a product, before they've got everything, nothing will ever launch. So what they most likely did is they were like, yo, take everything that you can find, throw it in here, let's make it shake, and let's get some VC money. We got some investors. Once the labels come after us, we'll sort of deal with them after that. And that seems to be what's happening right now, because once something's profitable, now record labels are like, okay, you guys used our stuff, it's time for us to hit you upside the head, and maybe we can work out a deal together so we don't got to deal with these artists. And it's unfortunate for the artist, but the consumer doesn't care. And that's the thing, like, they're trying to argue with these AI companies, but really it's the consumer. And if you can't change the consumer's mind, you can't guilt the consumer to not wanting a product that they enjoy. This product being music. Like, a lot of the time, people don't care who the artist is. They don't care where it came from. They just know that it sounds good and they're like, okay, I'm going to play it. And that's the thing too. Like, music is technically, well, it feels free because they're just playing it on a subscription. So it's not even like they're saying, yo, I'm paying $5 to listen to this. Oh, it's AI, I'm not listening to it. No, they're like, yo, I'm just playing that anyway. I'm paying for a subscription, so I'm going to just keep listening to it. It's a tough position to be in. Really, the only, I think, like, the artist should be using this as much as they possibly possibly can. But for Timbaland, I don't know if being the first person to do this, like, he's going to take all the arrows. And only time will tell what happens. I think Timbaland is fighting an uphill battle, though, because he's trying to tell everyone, hey, this is AI, and then have a song go up, when I think it's supposed to work backwards. We haven't had our first AI hit yet, but I can't wait until that happens. And the way it's going to happen is a song is going to blow up. Nobody knows who the artist is. It's going to go top 5, top 1. Everyone's going to wonder who the artist is. And then, like the end of a Scooby-Doo episode, they're going to pull off the mask and they're going to say, hey, that song that you all love, it's AI. And then everyone's going to stare at themselves in the mirror and they're going to have to decide, am I going to stop listening to this song, or am I just going to justify and be like, hey, that's hard? And I cannot wait until we get to that moment, because there will be a lot of clarity had. But let me know what y'all think about this in the comments. Like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell if you enjoyed. And I'm see y'all on the next one.